come on. This thing
It's not working.
is just slow.
Oh,
Keeps freezing up.
that sucks.
Got it. Yay! Word.
Now, why don't we have you go first since it's working?
Okay. This one is called The Eighth Wonder of the World.
The eighth wonder of the world. Okay.
Are you streaming?
We're streaming.
Hold on, pause a sec. Sorry.
What's that?
I'll throw out a link
Oh, okay.
since you're streaming. Maybe people.
We are streaming.
Can you turn me down like just a couple of notches?
Oh, sure.
Let's see.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I had you all the way up on blast. Sweet.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Eephus Podcast. You probably know by now this is a weekly podcast where we talk about baseball's history.
You better know.
As Larry fiddles with the camera,
I'm a multitasker.
this is a podcast. We don't even need a camera.
Well, for the live stream.
Anyway, so we talk about the people, places, and things of our nation's pastime. We like to go off the beaten path a little bit, but this one's a little bit more mainstream, I guess.
Okay.
So you guys can tell people you were listening to the Eephus before we sold out.
Yeah. You Eephus hipsters.
Back when it was cool and we were talking about Billy Goat curses and Moses Fleetwood Walker. But anyway, so like I said, we talk about the people, places, and things of baseball. And this is going to be the middle one.
Okay.
A place. So, from 1881 to 1961, Houston's only baseball team was the minor league Houston Buffaloes. After over a decade of efforts, including a failed attempt by several Texas businessmen to start a professional league just to compete with the National and American leagues called the Continental League, two National League expansion teams were formed in 1962. The New York Mets and the Houston Colt 45s.
Okay.
So these Texas businessmen were going to start a separate league from the National and American League.
Why would they do that?
Just because they were trying for so long and failing to get a team in Houston.
Okay.
So
we're just going to build our own league.
Pretty much. So they finally relented. But imagine how crazy that would be if we had the National League, the American League, and the Continental League right now. It'd be pretty awesome because you'd probably have teams in like Nashville.
Oh, yeah. You'd
yeah,
have like a real middle America kind of.
Right. You'd probably have more teams.
It would probably do well, too.
So the Colt 45s, owned by former Houston Mayor Judge Roy Hoffhines.
Okay.
His name isn't Judge. He was a judge. So
just all right. Well, it's hard to tell when you're from Houston.
And especially Houston Mayor. He's a former Houston mayor, and they address him as Judge Roy Hoffhines. But his name's just Roy Hoffhines. They played their first two seasons in a temporary venue named Colt Stadium, which lay just north of a new kind of stadium being constructed for the team to play in. Now, Hoffhines envisioned an indoor baseball park after experiencing many rainouts at Buffalo Stadium in previous years. Now, many people thought that one of the things making a major league team in Houston impossible was the absolutely sweltering summer weather, where temperatures hovered around 95 to 100 degrees in July and August, And brutal humidity levels not only made the heat that much more unbearable, but also brought frequent rainstorms.
Ugh.
So it was super hot, humid, and it rained all the time. They had a subtropical climate, or they still have, I guess, in Houston. Hofheinz was inspired when he took a trip to Rome and learned of the Valeria, which were giant curtains that were used to shield spectators from the sun in the Colosseum. He abandoned his interest in the Galleria, which was going to be the world's first indoor climate-controlled shopping mall, and got to work. The Houston Astrodome opened prior to the 1965 season, and the team took on the name the Astros, capitalizing on NASA's recent opening of its manned spaceship program in the city, making them the center of attention in the space race. The Astrodome was the first fully covered indoor multi-purpose sports venue, and it was quite impressive. It stood 18 stories tall and covered 9.5 acres.
Wow.
Just the complex itself, with a dome diameter of 710 feet, which was more than twice any previous structure.
It was like the Jetsons of baseball stadiums at
What
the time.
a time to be alive.
No
I
kidding.
mean, I'm kind of a retro futurism nerd. Like, that's another one of my interests.
Uh-huh.
And this was tickling me in all of my right spots when I was reading about this.
It's also just the perfect name, Astros.
Oh,
at
yeah,
that time, you know?
for sure. Yeah, it was very Jetsons-y. I mean, this is when the space race was happening,
Yeah.
and everybody was like all into futurism.
And it's just Astrodome. It's just the perfect name.
We're gonna go to some places here in a little bit, so bear with.
Okay.
Hofheinz called it the eighth wonder of the world. And he might not have actually been embellishing that much. Inside, the stadium boasted a state-of-the-art air conditioning system, which is the first of its kind, with 6,600 tons of cooling capacity, circulating 2.5 million cubic feet of air each minute, and drawing and filtering 250,000 square feet of outside air a minute.
Now, was the Astrodome held up by the air pressure, the dome itself?
No, the dome was made out of glass and steel.
Okay.
It wasn't actually like an inflatable.
Yeah, because there's like
dome.
I think there's a couple stadiums, or the Metrodome was like that.
Was it actually inflatable?
No, but the actual, it wasn't inflatable, but the air pressure held up the actual dome material.
That's so weird.
So, because that one time when it collapsed from the snow,
I know, and I thought about getting into other domes and stuff, but it's just I didn't want to digress too much.
Well, that's my job. Clearly.
All right. The field dimensions were, at least for baseball, was 325 feet from home plate to the outfield wall at the foul lines. The power alleys were 375 feet, and it was 400 feet to straight center.
Pretty symmetrical one.
Oh, yeah, absolutely symmetrical. The apex of the dome was 208 feet high, and the playing field was actually 25 feet below ground level. And they did that to kind of help vertical movement a little bit.
Okay.
So instead of having to climb upstairs, you got to go down, but I guess you'd still have to climb up them at the end. So I don't know how that helps, but I'm just reporting what I'm reading.
Right.
The scoreboard, called the Astrolight, was 4 stories high and consisted of thousands of individual light bulbs that would animate. And it was the first animated scoreboard ever.
That had to be mind-blowing to people.
Insane. After an Astros home run, the scoreboard displayed a minute-long celebration featuring pistols, bulls, and fireworks.
Better than that stupid fish and marlins.
In case you had any questions of where you were.
Everything's bigger in Texas. Why not the scoreboard as well?
You got to see a minute-long animation of pistols, bulls, and fireworks. The baseball capacity was 54,370.
Wow. Holy cow.
But obviously it was built with other sports in mind and featured a movable seating configuration that allowed capacities of 63,001. I don't know.
Just jam another one
Yeah.
in.
They just put a little folding chair in the center.
A beanbag. It's the 60s, man.
Yeah, for a football game. So the football capacity was 63,001.
And one.
And one.
I was the one.
Everybody was that one.
Yeah.
Everybody in every seat was like, I'm the one. You know
Yeah.
that, right? 68,000 for conventions
Hmm.
and up to 74,000 for other events like boxing.
Yeah, with a tiny
things
ring
like
in
that, yeah,
a stadium that
right.
size.
They have a lot more than one folding chair out for those. The stadium was completed 6 months ahead of schedule
No, wow.
and cost about $35 million. That in today's money is $262 million. And that is a bargain. I mean, you're talking like what? The new Yankee Stadium cost $800 million.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no animated, there is nothing state of the art there. I mean, I'm sure
No.
there was, but it wasn't like, you know,
Nothing that mind blowing. Like I think they have
Right.
HD, but everybody has. I have HD in my. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly.
So nothing as crazy.
And I mean, this, I don't think we can fully appreciate because it was before our time, but how absolutely mind blowing this place was when it came out.
had to have
And
been.
being in it, like,
Because how
and
old was the television's like less than 2 decades old at that point,
yeah, pretty much.
and now you've got this scoreboard that animates.
it gets so much better.
Yes.
So the stadium was also the first ever to offer luxury boxes, and Hofheinz had an opulent apartment built for himself inside the stadium,
Nice.
which took up parts of 7 levels and included a chapel, a shooting gallery,
Yeah, of course.
a bowling alley,
Oh, awesome.
a putting green, a bar called the Topsy Turvy, and a bedroom with 24-foot ceilings and Louis XIV's furniture called the Presidential Suite,
What? What? It's the King Suite.
which he hoped would someday host President Lyndon B. Johnson,
you had an angle there.
Texas's favorite son, and to whom Hofheinz had been an aide previously.
Huh.
On February 7th, 1965, Satchel Paige was brought in to test the pitching conditions in the stadium.
Nice. 65. Wow. Okay.
Paige called it a pitcher's paradise, noting that the lack of wind made it easier for a pitcher to have control over, like, you know, the nuanced pitches.
Okay.
So there wasn't any wind or any air factors. And this is the first one of the time, remember? So this is their
wow.
first time pitching
this
indoors.
Wow, that's got to be crazy for players to adjust.
Yeah.
I never even thought about that.
On April 9th, 1965, the Houston Astros hosted the New York Yankees for an opening day exhibition game in front of a crowd of 47,867. Female ushers wearing quilted gold lame miniskirts and called spacettes
Yes.
helped fans to their seats, and grounds crew dressed as astronauts and called Earthmen prepared the field for play. If you want to see something amazing, look up pictures of spacettes and Earthmen.
We'll put that up on Facebook.
It is
That's awesome.
incredible. They had helmets and everything. The spacemen or the Earthmen.
Of course.
21 astronauts threw out 21 first pitches, and the crowd honored the Gemini twins, who were Gus Grissom and John Young, who just a couple weeks prior became the first American pair in space.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. This is a crazy time. It's so exciting.
Yeah, that really kind of puts it in perspective when you say the first 2 Americans
In space.
in space.
At the Astrodrome with little spacemen or Earthmen running around getting the field prepared with helmets and everything.
This
I mean,
is
you have to
awesome.
see these costumes to fully appreciate them. They're bright orange. They had, you know, little backpacks on or little leather straps around them. And then the ushers were females who wore like, you know, like shiny gold quilted uniforms with little mini skirts and cowboy boots and
Oh my
hats that were shaped like the Astrodome.
I'm trying to find it. Oh, here we go. Oh, that's weird.
Isn't that incredible?
Those hats are awesome.
Yeah. It's a hat that's shaped like the Astrodome itself.
It is.
So they look like 1960s space shuttle flight attendants. Is the only way I can describe them.
Okay. That's weird.
So that first game, Lyndon and Lady Bird Johnson, which by the way is the best first lady name
It
ever.
Lady Bird. Yeah.
I always had a joke when the Cubs had Reed Johnson, Xavier Nady, and Marlon Byrd that they could have a center field of Nady Bird Johnson.
That's the joke you went with.
Yeah. They were in attendance with Governor John Connolly. Mickey Mantle had the first hit and the first home run in the Astrodome, but the Astros wound up winning the game 2-1.
All right.
Now, the field featured Bermuda grass specifically designed for indoor use.
Really?
Really. But during the first season, fielders struggled to catch fly balls due to the blinding glare that was being let in by the windows above. So to fix this, the clear ceiling panels were painted white, which, while helping the initial problem of the glare, led to another one, which was
Yeah.
the grass on the field started to die. They
Sure.
also had another problem with the grass, in which, since it was so humid, the grass would retain moisture
Oh no.
and then it would release it into the air, causing indoor rain.
What?
Yeah. So the grass would hold so much moisture, which would go up into the atmosphere of the dome, collect, and it's just like, our atmosphere. It would just rain.
It just became
It was like
the
indoor
thing they were
raining.
trying to prevent in the first place. They were
Right.
causing.
So the second half of the 1965 season was actually played on a combination of dead grass and dirt, which was painted green.
They're playing on my front lawn.
Pretty much.
Jeez.
Luckily, though, in 1965, a new product called Chemgrass had just been patented and was being sold to universities and other places. This product was installed in the Astrodome in 1966 to replace the dying field, and the owners changed its name to,
AstroTurf.
of course,
Yes.
the spacemen would clear dirt from the turf in between innings using giant vacuums. What a sight to behold. Oh, man, just a bunch of guys dressed up in 60s astronaut space outfits with giant vacuums cleaning up a baseball field.
Oh, so
like
crazy.
I died and went to heaven.
Right?
On December 17th, 1965, the Supremes became the first musical act to perform at the Astrodome, opening for Judy Garland, which is a weird combination,
What the what?
in front of 60,000 fans.
Hmm.
Garland was paid $43,000 for that one show, which
Wow.
turns out to be about $323,409.14 today for one show. And
It's insane.
tickets were sold for between $1 and $7.50. So I'm just gonna go through some of the stuff on the Astros timeline from here.
Mm-hmm.
Bring it up to speed. On April 28th, 1965, Lindsey Nelson, an announcer for the visiting New York Mets, broadcast a game while perched in a gondola suspended from the roof above second base.
Why?
Because he's in a giant spaceship.
Oh my gosh.
And so he
Jeez.
called the entire game from a
From abo-
gondola hung from the roof right above second base.
What's so gimmicky?
Some guy by the name of Elvis Presley performed 6 times between February and March of 1970. So that's just
Wow.
a 2-month span,
Holy smoke.
sending an attendance record of over 200,000 over those 6 shows. He performed there again on March 3rd, 1974, setting a single-day attendance record. In January of 1971, Evel Knievel jumped 13 cars in front of 100,000 people over 2 days. There was talk of Knievel jumping the stadium itself
come
at some
on.
point, but that never came to be.
What? Who
On,
thought? Okay.
on
All right.
September 23rd, 1973, the famous Battle of the Sexes tennis match that saw
yeah.
Billie Jean King defeat Bobby Riggs in 3 straight sets drew 30,472 people,
Wow.
the most ever in tennis to that point, and held for 20 years afterwards. That was a big deal. I mean,
Yeah.
it's basically just a big publicity stunt. But I mean, what that did for women in sports and everything, I mean, it's not
Sometimes publicity stunts are really cool.
right. I mean, it's no small feat.
No.
On June 10th, I love this. On June 10th, 1974, Mike Schmidt crushed a fastball from Astros pitcher Clyde Austin that was about as much of a no-doubter as you can have. Center fielder Cesar Cedeno trotted back to the wall just to watch it fly over him, Yet the ball landed in shallow center field after hitting a loudspeaker 329 feet away from home plate and 117 feet in the air.
He smoked that thing.
I have to pause the podcast a second because I actually have audio of that. If you're down.
Oh yeah,
All
absolutely.
right, like plug it in.
I like doing that kind of stuff.
Sorry, I should have had this ready, but
It's all right.
I forgot that at the last minute I found audio of it. And I was like, cool, man. Let's do it. Hopefully it works on my phone.
Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, let's see.
All right. Wow. can hear him
It
right
blew
at
his-
the
yeah,
end.
It just blew his mind. And they had contingencies in play for that. Like they had actually thought about that.
Oh,
And
wow.
anything that's in fair territory, and this goes nowadays to domes too. I think was it Tropicana where somebody wedged a ball
into the
into the
actual-
loudspeaker,
Yeah.
I think. But yeah, so it's considered a fair ball. If it hits something while it's in fair territory, it's still considered a fair play.
Well, I mean, I get, it makes sense.
I just love that though.
That's great. So that one that was wedged, that was a ground rule double then, right?
I think that's what they ended up
Yeah.
calling it. Yeah. But I remember like seeing video of that and watching the umpire just like, oh God, what do we do?
Right? Yeah, go to the rule book here.
All right. On June 15th, 1976, the Astrodome suffered a rainout.
Say what?
A rainout.
But I thought they already took care of that indoor rain problem.
The Astros' scheduled game against the Pittsburgh Pirates was called when massive flooding in the Houston area prevented all but a few fans from reaching the stadium.
Huh. Well,
Both teams had arrived early for practice, but the umpires were several hours late.
okay.
At 5
Now-
p.m. Well,
Well, this is crazy because in Baltimore they had that game with 0 fans.
yeah,
So is it because of the umpires?
both. I mean,
Okay.
people just had such a problem getting to the stadium that, I mean, they only had a handful of fans, and man,
Mhm.
that sucks for those guys. To
Yeah,
make
no
it in
kidding.
there in flooding. They probably took their boats there. Like, we're gonna see a game. We'll get inside out of this rain. And then they're like,
Like,
sorry.
Sorry, we're rained out.
Damn. So the umpires and the teams agreed to call the game off. Tables were brought onto the field, and the teams ate dinner together.
Yeah. What else are you gonna do?
In 1986, the New York Mets clinched the championship series in what would be the longest postseason game ever played, lasting over 16 innings and the team consuming 30 pounds of cocaine.
I was about to say, hopefully one of those teams had some, a little extra caffeine to get through that long game.
I added the last part in there myself. The Mets won 7-6. In 2005, that record was broken at Minute Maid Park, also in
Oh, really?
Houston, when the Astros and Braves squared off for 18 innings.
oh,
In 1988, the Astrolite scoreboard was replaced with a more modern video board during a seating expansion project. Hofheinz's apartment was also removed during
No!
this process. The saddest day in Astrodome history. They left that thing on. I think in 1988, they actually turned that scoreboard off for the first time in over 20 years.
they just kept it on all the time.
Yeah.
Oh wow! Huh.
Imagine changing a light bulb on that thing.
Ah.
Yeah, really. Shortly after, in 1995, Houston Oilers owner Bob Lanier lobbied hard for a new stadium. And Houston Oilers were obviously the football team that played in the Astrodome. That was strange since he was kind of the one behind the Astrodome's remodel in 1988 to expand seatings. The city, still recovering from an oil collapse in the 1980s, was a little bit wary of investing so much money. So Lanier announced the team's departure to Nashville prior to the 1998 season, leaving the Dome without one of their major tenants. And after he announced that they were moving in 1996. And after that, they averaged less than 20,000 fans a game at a football game, which usually like sells out every time. And usually has between like 40 or 50,000, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I'm not a big football dude, but they say that there were so few fans in the Astrodome that you could hear conversations on the field.
Well, I mean, I don't blame them. You're essentially
right.
saying, hey, this team that you invest yourself into is leaving,
we're moving. Yeah, and it does kind of stink. I mean, baseball game, we're kind of used to that with baseball games, but they play 160 some games.
You're not going to
you're not going to sell out every single game unless you're an awesome team. You play a lot of day games, but football, they play like 16 games a season?
Yeah, it's
on every Sunday, so they
you're
pack
limited
everybody in. Yeah,
and it's on Sunday. It's not Tuesday at 7.
Right. So that must have been a sad time. And that's another running joke that I have. People ask me about football. I'm just like, how are the Oilers doing nowadays?
About as well as the Expos.
I'm so funny. In 1999, the San Francisco Chronicle interviewed a man named Jeff, whose job it was to tend to the colonies of feral cats living in the stadium. Those cats also had a job of controlling the population of giant rats that resided within.
No free meals there in the Astrodome.
Right.
Well, I mean, I guess it is a free meal.
Unless you're a cat.
Yeah.
Or a rat.
But you got to earn your keep.
Or Jeff.
Yeah.
In 2000, the Astros moved to Enron Field, which is now Minute Maid Park.
I'm sorry, what was the name of that field?
Enron Field.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's also my joke in fantasy corporations. Fantasy stocks. Buy it all in Enron. I'm just gonna stop with those jokes now. Okay. And Minute Maid Park is their current home. That left the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo as the Astrodome's only major tenant until 2002, when that also left.
Oh no.
The venue was still used for concerts and special events, and notably housed thousands of refugees from New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina in 2005. When they evacuated the city, a lot of them went to Houston. They just stuck them all in the Astrodome, which is weird.
Well, they were in the Superdome.
Well, yeah, but the roof blew off of it.
Nah, that's right.
In 2008, however, the stadium was finally shuttered after numerous code violations.
Oh.
Since then, only maintenance workers and security guards have been allowed inside. Plans to demolish the stadium have been rejected due to environmental concerns.
Huh. Well, okay. I mean,
that's a big undertaking. If you're going to just tear that place down. But
I mean, yeah, apparently it's cheaper to keep it up than it is to take it down. That's weird.
Well, I mean, I guess we could talk about that now. Look at the Pontiac Silverdome.
Oh, yeah. That thing.
How long have the Lions been out of there?
Gosh.
I mean, at least
15 years?
Has it been
10?
Yeah,
10,
at least
15?
10, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And that place is still standing, and it's a super ghost town.
Yeah.
Didn't they I thought they just sold it to like a soccer team for $500,000. I remember reading that like a year or two
that's
ago.
A deal. I mean, that thing needs a lot of work,
it's in Detroit, so I mean, they probably overpaid. And yeah, it is a big thing, but yeah, it's kind of the same situation with the Astrodome, which is so sad because of all the, I mean, just think of like the boom and the space race and all that excitement that surrounded the place, and now it's just kind of sitting there.
That's so weird.
Empty. Yeah, if you want to look at some cool pictures, I'll post a link up on Facebook of like pictures of what it looks like now, and it's eerie. It's so eerie. There's like turnstiles on the floor in the middle, and there's like, you know, a ticket booth from the outside parking ramp just laying there inside. The floor is all torn up, and
oh wow. Yeah,
there's
pictures right
seats laying there,
yep.
just sitting in the middle of the place.
That's weird. Yeah, it's actually set up for. Looks like the last time they used it was for football.
Right.
Huh.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
No more space heads.
The city introduced plans at different points to remodel the structure into a convention center, an indoor park, luxury hotel, and they even had renovation of the structure as part of the city's bid to host the 2012 Olympics.
Wow.
40 years prior, the Astrodome was America's #3 tourist attraction behind only Mount Rushmore and the Grand Canyon.
No kid. Wow, that's why it's called the Eighth Wonder.
And now, like many of the other wonders of the world, it lays unoccupied and empty.
Oh,
But unlike the other 7 wonders, it's probably going to be torn down at some point.
yeah.
Even after being placed on the National Register of Historic Places in 2014.
Oh, wow.
So just recently. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's such a, I don't know if we'll ever experience something like that in our lifetimes. Something that just turns the world on its head. I mean, think about it. That place was the #3 tourist attraction in the entire country.
That says a lot.
It says a ton. People are like, where do you want to go this year for our
It's not gonna-
vacation? Do you want to go to Mount Rushmore, the Grand Canyon, or the Houston Astrodome?
Well, the Astrodome, of course.
Exactly. I
That's-
want to see
that's
those
insane, yeah.
men cleaning up the field.
Go to this horrible tropical, hot, humid, sticky, gross.
Yeah, and it just, and it's such a weird. It feels like that's like the birthplace of the technology we live in now.
Yeah,
Like stuff like that. When we had our eyes looking towards space and the space race was happening.
Very important
and
time.
The military was going through technology. And it was just kind of starting at that point. I mean, obviously in the 40s is probably more when it kicked off during
Mhm.
World War II and the technological races from them. But this was like its fever pitch, man.
Yeah, I mean, you have the beginnings of computers and internet,
Yeah,
and all
exactly.
that stuff. And what a perfect time for that stadium to
Right.
to
And
come
I mean,
out.
and Houston was booming at that time too. I mean, that was, during that time with that big oil rush and stuff,
Mhm.
because I mean, cars were being cranked out like crazy and we needed gas. So that's when those oil guys got really, really rich. And that's why there is just so much stupid money to pour into stuff
Right.
like this. They're like, they have money coming out of their ears.
Now we get Marlins Park with a stupid fish.
Oh my God. Built by an art dealer. I mean, come on.
Wow,
This is the world we live in today.
I know. Come on, let's
and
go.
Just,
Wow,
and I
let's see a
love-
steampunk.
No,
No,
let's
I'm
not.
kidding.
But I love the juxtaposition of, the guys going in there with flannel shirts and cowboy boots and 10-gallon hats being seated by these space ushers.
What a weird.
They probably brought their guns in the stadium. I mean, the
Yeah,
animation, the animation in this space age stadium scoreboard had cows, guns, and fireworks.
Everything you need.
So it's just such a, it's so American in that it's
Yeah.
such a clash of the old Western frontierism with the just unbridled technological advances of the time. And yeah, I mean, I know I'm getting like super romantic over the
Mhm.
thing, but it's just such an awesome time in history.
Yeah.
And it would have been so cool to witness. I mean, can you imagine a little kid going into that place for the
Oh,
first time in
good Lord.
1965?
Just
It would have blown your mind. Like literally, you would have thought you went to another planet.
which I think was the idea.
And then you would have seen those hideous Astros uniforms.
Ah,
and
you
you would have
know-
said, I want to go back to Earth.
what a color scheme. That's such a set like a
Oh.
that 60s.
Oh, and you'll see that when they did the seating expansions,
uh-huh.
they actually added rows of red, orange, and yellow seats. Why? Why would you do that? That's why whenever they have the retro uniform nights, the
Mhm.
Astros are always the worst.
They are.
They always have.
They're up there.
like,
I mean, the Padres give them a good run.
the Padres and the Pirates. The Pirates have
Pirates,
had
too.
some absolutely. Remember
Yes.
those little stupid hats?
Oh yeah,
the,
yeah.
the pipe hats or whatever.
like no.
Oh boy. But anyway, we're digressing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll throw up some stuff on the Facebook page when this
Cool.
episode drops because there is a lot of cool stuff. There's a really cool story about Hofheinz's apartment
Mhm. Oh
in
yeah.
the place. Oh, just insane. I mean, it was so gaudy too. It was exactly what you would
I
think
hope so.
a 60s Texas politician would have built with tons of like oil money.
I like
know?
the fact that there's a shooting range on the.
Oh yeah, but there were like velvet floors. Oh, another great part about the shooting range is that like I mean, it wasn't like a live ammo shooting range. It was like
Okay.
you see in a carnival with the little
Oh.
like light guns and stuff.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a shooting gallery,
Okay, that's pretty
but
cool.
it had like full size
So-
replicas of big game
Oh,
in there,
see-
and then the little shelves that you put the guns on
Uh-huh.
were lined with AstroTurf.
Nice. See, to me that whole distract, you'll see this in other states. Like Detroit has like a giant Ferris wheel. Tampa Bay don't they have like Stingray?
They had like, an
Aquariums.
aquarium.
Like to me, that's that whole other things other than baseball. To me, always that must have been come from the Astrodome.
Oh yeah, for
That's
sure.
so
For sure.
Even that was ahead of its
the
time.
Astrodome changed the game.
No kidding.
And then I think the next one was Minnesota.
The next dome.
The Metrodome.
Okay.
And then and then they did Seattle had a dome.
Yep. Which fell on people.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So anyway, that's the history of the Astrodome.
Really cool.
And there's a lot of cool stuff I didn't cover. I wanted to keep it a little bit brief.
Okay.
I could have really nerded out
Really?
over that one, but
You were
it also
nerding pretty
strays
hard.
like it strays really far away from baseball too, because so much other stuff happened there.
But hey, it's definitely an important part of baseball
But
history.
they built it for baseball.
What
I
a
mean,
lovely stadium.
with other sports in mind, but
It's a bummer I never got to go there.
yeah, it would have been. It probably wouldn't have been as awesome going there.
Not for
like,
us, yeah.
when we were kids, even.
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, that's our story this week. Keep up to date. Yeah, go to our Facebook site at the Eephus Podcast. I'll have some links to some cool stuff on there.
Nice. Any suggestions for episodes? Eephus Podcast
Yeah, we
at
recently heard from
gmail.com.
Dave in the UK, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
We're global, baby.
Yeah.
He gave us some good ideas I think I'm going to chip away at. So thanks for that, Dave.
Maybe someone of us chipped away at one of them. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Well, tune in next week then.
Yeah.
At the Eephus Podcast. We'll see you then. Wow, it was half an hour.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, that one came about because I actually looked up. I was looking into the history of luxury boxes
Oh.
just on a random whim, and then I saw it was the Astrodome was the first to have them. I started reading about the Astrodome. I'm like, holy shit, this is an episode right here. Then I found that the groundskeepers were called Earthmen and wore spacesuits.
we're on
and I
the
was
ground.
just
We're
like,
running with that one.
yes. And the apartment, oh my god, it had like velvet floors and it was insane. Warren Moon got to walk around it in 1988 before they tore it down. Oh yeah. Do we have viewers?
We had one for
That's probably my wife.
usually we get actually more people watch it after we record it.
Crazy. Never do. I don't want to see Marvel mode.
I never watched it.
Scare
I just
myself
noticed
when
that
look in
last
the
week.
mirror in the morning anyway.
Last week I forgot to shut it off, or the last time I forgot to shut it off.
It was a 17-hour thing.
Like, oops.
It's good.
Somebody stared at my ceiling for another 7.
It's a good thing you didn't come back up to take care of business. If you
No.
know what I'm talking. Forgot to shut
Oh my!
the-
Oh,
Yeah, geez.
maybe that's where that influx of listeners came from. All right.
Pound in your chest. Oh, yeah.
This has video as well, or interviews or whatever.
I love that audio clip. The announcer was just like,
what the?
Because you can tell him, he's like, yeah, that's out of here.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. You could hear that ball. You could hear the crack of the bat
He's
too on
like,
that thing.
But wait,
Yeah. Then right at the end, he kind of laughs.
Yeah. It's a single. Stupid time change.
Yeah. Get ripped off of our
It's already noon.
sleep. Well. Yeah. There we go.
Hey, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Eephus Podcast. This is a weekly podcast where we talk about weird baseball stuff.
Indeed.
And I think we're going to continue the trend this week.
Yes. Sort of. I
Okay.
want to. This. I've gotten multiple requests for this,
Okay.
and it's not. I don't know. It's kind of tabloidy or, which is right up my alley. Of
boy.
course.
Is this the story about how Kim Kardashian
No.
played catch with her?
Oh, good Lord.
Okay.
No. But there is a myth that Wade Boggs drank 64 beers on a cross country flight. I'm sure you've heard of this.
Sure. I mean, if anybody's going to do it,
It'd be Wade.
yeah.
Now, when I came up with this, I thought, wow, I'll have some Miller Lights for us while we do this. And then when I woke up this morning, didn't sound like a good idea.
No, it's noon on a Sunday.
Yeah.
The last thing I need is 64 Miller Lights.
We were going to prove this. We're the baseball Mythbusters.
The Mythbusters.
Yeah. So, Wade Boggs was one of the best third basemen in Major League history. Obviously, he's a Hall of Famer, inducted in 2005.
And a weird guy.
And well, there's a legendary story that was basically where this comes from is a radio interview from Mitch in the Morning at 950 KGR in New York. But that day, Mitch was gone, and so filling in for him was Steve Sandmeyer, and his sidekick for that show was former Mariners and Yankees pitcher Jeff Nelson. So Sandmeyer was killing some time by making small talk about baseball and Nelson's career and his exploits as a major leaguer. And the conversation turned into some of the funny things Nelson had seen in his career, and were things like one of the questions was, who is the best with the ladies out of everyone in baseball? And Jeff Nelson, you want to know? Of course, I had to look into who the answer was. And Jeff Nelson said that was probably Andre Dawson.
That doesn't
The
surprise
Hawk,
me.
the Lady Hawk.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, the two were joking about that and whatnot. And Sandy Sandmeyer stumbled upon perhaps one of the most compelling questions ever articulated in an interview. Who would you say drank the most beer out of everyone you ever played with?
Such a random question. This is why I don't listen to sports radio, because that's like two 12-year-olds talking about superheroes.
Right.
How many beers do you think Superman could drink?
So guess what? I found the transcripts of that interview. So I hope you have putting your acting hat back on.
Okay.
We're gonna reenact this.
Oh boy. All right. So I'm Sandy.
You're Sandy.
Sandy Sandmeyer.
All right. Eephus Theater.
Here we go. All right. So, who would you say drank the most beer out of everyone you played with?
That's easy. It's Wade Boggs. Easy.
Really? Wade Boggs?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I've never seen anyone drink as much beer as he did in my life.
Get out of here. All right. Give me an example. Like how much did he drink?
Oh, I'd say on a typical road trip, East Coast to West Coast, I'd say a road game to Seattle. Wade would drink anywhere between 50 to 60 beers.
No way! 50 or 60 beers? That is impossible.
No, I know. How crazy that sounds. And I wouldn't believe it myself unless I saw him do it numerous times. And he drank nothing but Miller Lite.
How in the hell did he have time to drink that many beers? For God's sake, how many times did he have to go to the bathroom?
I'm not kidding you, Steve. Seriously. Wade was the kind of guy who was always the first one at the clubhouse. So he'd get to the clubhouse and he'd bring a 6-pack with him. He'd be there drinking a beer when someone showed up. And as we were all packing our stuff up out of our lockers and getting our bags ready for the trip, Wade would sit there and drink the whole 6-pack. Now, at the time, we were flying out of New Jersey, so it was somewhat of a drive from Yankee Stadium to the airport in New Jersey. Wade would drink another couple beers on the bus to the airport. At the time, we were flying this older airplane. It couldn't make it across the country without refueling, and it wasn't the fastest airplane in the sky. So we would stop in North Dakota or something. Wade would drink about a half rack between New Jersey and North Dakota, and it would take about a half an hour to an hour to refuel once we got there. So we'd have a few more beers while we were grounded in North Dakota. Once we got back up in the air, Wade would drink another 10, 11, 12 beers on the way out to the West Coast. The whole flight from coast to coast usually took us well over 7 hours. We touched down at SeaTac, hop on the bus, headed to the Kingdom, and Wade would have another beer or two while we were on the bus. Then all of us would get to the Kingdom, unpack our bags, and sit around and BS with each other, and Wade would have a beer in his hand the entire time. He was always one of the last people to leave the clubhouse, too. So I'd say that all in all, he probably drank over 50 beers on the trip, and this wasn't just an isolated incident. He did this almost all the time.
Unbelievable. That's absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, I know. I'm not kidding, though. Let's call up somebody, and they'll tell you, man, I'm not lying.
All right. Who should we call up? Let's take a commercial break, and then we'll call up somebody and see if we can't get to the bottom of this. This is absolutely amazing. When the commercial ends, Paul Sorrento, a former Mariner and Devil Ray and Boggs and Nelly's former teammate, is on the phone.
Hey, Paul, good to hear from you, man. I haven't talked to you in a while.
Yeah, what's it been, like 2-3 years?
Yeah, hey, Paul, just to clarify now, I didn't speak to you over the commercial break, and I haven't talked to you about anything since we last talked a few years ago, right?
Yeah, right.
All right, Paul. We've been talking about Wade Boggs up here in Seattle today.
Yeah, old Wade, huh?
Yeah, all right, Paul. I need you to answer one question for me, though, truthfully now. How many beers would Wade Boggs drink on an East Coast to West Coast road trip?
Oh, geez. I don't know, like 70?
Yeah, okay, so, I mean...
Oscars, baby.
I mean, baseball players would never lie.
Never. Why would they?
No. So...
In fact, they can't. It's against league policy.
So let's do some math then.
Okay.
Let's figure this out.
Okay.
Well, is this possible?
He said. So, okay. Just going back over the script that you gave me. So he'd bring a 6-pack.
That's 6.
To the clubhouse.
Right.
6. And so yeah. So he would drink a whole 6-pack in the clubhouse after the game.
Right. Then he would drink a couple on the bus. So let's say 3.
Then
2?
Yep. So
let's go with 3.
So from Yankee Stadium to the airport in New Jersey, drink another couple of beers on the bus. Yeah, let's be conservative and say 2.
That's 8.
So that's 8 so far.
Now it says on the way to the West Coast, before their first stop, another 12. We'll say. So that's 20.
Well,
because he says we drink another 10, 11, 12.
After they got up into the air. So he would drink about a half a rack between New Jersey and North Dakota.
You're right. I missed that one.
And I don't know what a half rack is.
Yeah. Is that it? 12?
Let's say 6, just to stay on the conservative side. So we're at 15 so far. 14, 15, something like that.
Yeah.
What do we say? Well, we're saying 8, so we're at 13 so far. It would take about a half an hour to an hour to refuel once we got there, so we'd have a few more. So now we're at 16. Once they got back up into the air, he would drink another 10, 11, 12 beers. So we'll take the 12 on that. We'll go up.
Right.
So we're at 28 right now. The whole flight from coast to coast usually took us well over 7 hours. Touchdown the SeaTac, hop on the bus, headed to the Kingdom, and Wade would have another beer or 2 on the bus. So we're at 30. Then all of us would get to the Kingdom and unpack our bags and sit around and BS with each other. Wade would have a beer in his hand the entire time. So maybe another 10. Maybe.
yeah.
That's still probably a high estimate. So we're still at 40,
We're not near the 64.
not
But-
near 50. We're 64. So I don't know. That myth might be busted.
Could be.
That's still a hell of a lot of beers.
Let's do some more math.
Okay.
Boggs' playing weight was 197 pounds. Miller Lite, 12 ounces of Miller Lite, 4.2% alcohol.
On a good day.
Story is supposedly it happened over a 10-hour period.
Okay.
So in that case, let's go conservative with 50 cans of Miller Lite. So over 10 hours, that would result in a blood alcohol content of roughly 0.552.
That's biggin'.
Yeah, that's the level of alcohol poisoning.
But he's not driving. I mean, to be fair.
He's probably poisoned.
The thing
It
is
is Miller Lite though.
I don't think that you could drink Miller Lite to the point where you would get alcohol poisoning. You would get full and bloated
you
before
would
you could
puke.
stuff any more down
Yeah.
there.
So like we said, to put that in perspective,
10 hours,
point-
that's 6 an hour, which even
Jeez,
Miller Lite is a lot.
that's 10 minutes. To
I mean,
finish
on a
it.
hot day, I could maybe drink 2 or 3 in an hour,
Mhm.
but I'm not going to do it for 10 hours straight.
So basically, he was 7 times drunk.
Again, he wasn't driving, so he's at least
So it's
being
yes.
responsible.
And that's not even getting to the logistical problems of the story. Forget the beer itself. The human body typically can't handle that much liquid, period.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I mean, you couldn't drink that much water in it
That's
in a
roughly
10-hour period.
It's roughly a 2-liter bottle of alcohol an hour.
Yeah.
There's just no way. The human liver can only safely process 1 liter of liquid per hour. I'm sorry. As a matter of fact, a woman in 2007 died after drinking 6 liters of water in
I
3
remember
hours.
that. Yeah, it was on the radio, wasn't it?
So that was how much beer he was drinking
Well,
an hour. In theory.
let's call it what it is. Not beer, Miller Lite.
Okay, fair enough. Craft beer or die. There's roughly that's how much beer he was drinking per hour for over a 10-hour period. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Doubtful.
It just doesn't make any sense.
I can see him drinking a 6-pack between leaving the clubhouse and getting on the plane.
Right.
I could see him drinking probably, I mean, if it was a 7-hour flight, I could see him drinking
Another 12.
another 12 fairly easily. Maybe even 20 at that point.
Mhm.
And then another but then you're probably looking at another 8 at the end. So I'm thinking 30 at the low end. Which, I mean, yeah, we're
That's
still
jeez.
I think we've busted the myth,
But it's pretty impressive
but it's still even what he could have done.
the damage.
And he's eating chicken before every game.
Yes. Which was a superstition of his.
Yeah. We've covered that.
But guess what? Brian Rose was a pitcher. He had a nondescript career, winning just 15 games over parts of 5 seasons before hurting his arm. But he was Boston's top pitching prospect. So promising as much that the Red Sox refused to deal him for Pedro Martinez.
That was a mistake.
But Boston did end up with Pedro
Yeah,
Martinez.
I was going to say they got him anyway, but
In 2001, Rose was all fired up when he was claimed off waivers by the Devil Rays. Not because I was going to Tampa Bay, explained Rose, but because Wade Boggs was a coach there,
yeah.
and he was my idol growing up. Rose soon learned that Boggs could put away cold ones like nobody's business. I was sitting next to him on a plane, and a flight attendant came by and gave him a case of beer.
Oh,
And Rose said he slid it under the seat, and I was like, "What's up with that?" He could only have an hour flight. He said, "That's mine." The whole flight, we're just shooting the shit, and he came and he went one beer after the other. And I said to him, "I'm impressed by the way you hit, but I'm more impressed right now." He goes, "Yeah, beer doesn't affect me. I don't get drunk unless I've had at least a case and a half."
wow.
And I don't even think he went to the bathroom once.
That's insane.
For an hour flight, he had a case of beer.
Now, a case is 24 beers.
Yeah. Now, I doubt he drank the whole thing.
Some people also mistakenly refer to a 12-pack as a case.
So, okay, let's go with that then.
Yeah.
Over an hour?
Yeah. Dude, drink some water.
Okay. Well, he was. He was drinking Miller Lite.
I
Yes.
know. I set him off. You knock him down. Woo!
When Charlie Day of Always Sunny in Philadelphia stopped by the Tonight Show to discuss the new season, in one episode, the gang tries to recreate Boggs' feat. And Boggs himself makes a cameo as part of a hallucination Charlie's character has when he's 30 beers deep. Day also claims that the stories about Boggs' drinking prowess are true, and that Boggs even told him that the actual number of beers he drank. Can you guess what Boggs said the actual number was?
That fateful day.
Yeah.
66.
107.
Okay, I'm calling BS on that.
If we were to believe what Nelson said about Boggs being able to routinely knock back 50 or 60, it stands to reason that it is absolute peak that maybe one magical trip he could really do 107. I don't think so.
No.
Now
107, even in a 24-hour period, that's still like 5 beers an hour or something like that.
it's we did the
little
math.
less than
You
that.
would
but
you would die. You would die.
5 beers an hour for 24 hours straight. That's
It can't happen.
no.
So, let's see here.
Although I bet you he's real fun at a kegger.
No, he's your worst nightmare.
Yeah, I guess that's true. You need to bring. Now that's Wade's keg. Everybody
Yeah, he has
else-
his own keg. That's a 2-liter bottle per hour. Come on.
And what is it with Boston and beers in
Drinking?
the clubhouse? I mean, I'm sure
Yeah,
they
that just
probably do it everywhere.
A
but
couple years ago, wasn't it?
yeah, it was
Fried
Lester and
chicken.
Lackey.
Yeah. Again with the chicken.
Yeah, chicken and beer.
Screw this thing. It's not working. All right. All right. This is an interview Boggs gave where he talks about it. So I think this. Oh no. I hit the wrong one. There we go.
Is that Ryan Sandberg?
It's 107. It's not boredom. It's alcoholism.
Yeah. Which are the same thing to some people.
A few Miller Lights. They get Wade Boggs on it. It's the only commercial or the only question they ask.
Yeah. He was also the inspiration for when they named Miller 64.
Yeah. That'd be the boy, that's they're like, how can we make Miller Lite worse? I was gonna say remove the taste, but there isn't a taste to begin with.
And
So
then
we're gonna remove...
Budweiser was like, we could do worse than
We
that.
could do worse than that.
Select 55, baby.
Welcome to our other podcast.
This is the beer for 7-year-olds.
Yeah. So there you go. I don't know that I'd gotten a few requests for that one as of late
It's
too.
good.
So
It's
I don't
great.
know.
Yeah. I guess that's just making the rounds, man. It's one of those folklore stories.
I like that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's great.
So, well, Eephus Podcast on Facebook.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around, like, how would you pee?
That's a thing. Like that like Rose was saying, he never went up to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
On that flight where he drank a case.
I mean, does he have a pee bag strapped to his...
I don't know. And then actually in a TMZ interview, Boggs said, "Oh, I have a hollow leg." He went with the hollow leg joke.
Oh yeah. Okay, Boggs, come on. We've been there, done that.
Yeah.
Man, and how do I can't even get 2 beers on a plane. How does he get a case?
No kidding. Well, because he's Wade Boggs.
Yeah, I guess.
And it was a team flight too.
Oh, okay. Boy, oh boy. Keeping Miller in business since
Such a baseball thing though.
Yeah,
to play with a hangover.
That's true. Well, I'm sure football players do it too.
Well, yeah.
Although they only play 1 game a week, so they probably
have the rest of the week.
They can at least abstain from drinking for 1 night.
Yeah, not Wade Boggs apparently.
He can't abstain for. It wouldn't surprise me if that's true that he wouldn't like sneak back in the locker room for a beer between innings sometimes.
I'm sure it was a lot of beers that he drank, but I 60 he's or 107 as he told Charlie Day, which I'm sure he was just messing with.
Yeah. I'm sure that's been embellished, but even still, like we worked out, it could have been as many as 30.
That's a lot.
30 or 40.
Oh my gosh. Whew. Wow. You
Which
just
is
feel
still
like crap.
Too much.
And he was 197 pounds. How did he not gain weight?
Yeah,
it doesn't sound like he had any time to work out. He's drinking that many beers.
If you ever want to justify your own alcoholism,
yeah,
look to Wade Boggs and
he's a pro athlete. Yeah. I'm not an alcoholic.
Anyway, as Larry said earlier, Eephus Podcast on Facebook. You can find us at Twitter at Eephus Podcast.
Eephus Podcast at gmail.com.
Sure. And we should be starting our fantasy baseball league.
I'll drink to that.
Yeah. What was that? Last Sunday we drafted and it was great.
Yes.
It's good. I like my team.
First great pick by with
Yep. We'll see you next week on the Eephus Podcast. I do like to see somebody's name is Clomp and Stomp.
Yes, I saw that. Was great.
It's so weird. We have strangers signing up for our fantasy baseball league, and they're making references to stuff that we've done in their names. It's so bizarre. It's just so weird.
Oh, we got a viewer. Hi, viewer.
Oh, hi, viewer. You get to see the seedy
see
underbelly.
How the sausage is stuffed.
Gross. Oh, not this podcast, Larry. That's your other one.
Oh, that's right.
That's your wrestling podcast.
After hours. A few Miller Lights.
We should try to replicate that sometime.
No, that's not. I don't think. No.
Still have that customer in my route that claims she's going to take me to a Cubs game because she has season tickets.
That's right. Which she may or may not.
She also told me that Tony Bennett called her when her daughter fell down the stairs recently. So
okay, well we know where that's yeah, we know where that stands.
So I'm not keeping my fingers crossed. Yeah, that's a true story.
Okay.
She also told me that she carries her gun everywhere when she walks her dog, and the little condos behind the Christian high school that she lives in. Well, because it's not well lit. And she said if she wanted to kill somebody, all she'd have to do was sit by the laundry machine at night with a gun.
What the heck?
She's my favorite customer.
No kidding. Better be nice.
Yeah. Although it would be fun to go to a Cubs game with her.
I guarantee it would not be a a boring game. That's for sure.
I baptized Tom Ricketts. Let me in that scoreboard, son. Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to another episode of our weekly podcast. We talk about funny baseball things. It's the Eephus Podcast.
Indeed.
And Larry has something for us this week.
Yes. If my tablet will.
Uh-oh.
Technical difficulty. There we go. All right. Yes, I do.
Let's hear it.
What do baseball and extreme sports have in common?
Practically nothing.
Exactly. But I am going to address some extremes of baseball.
Okay.
We covered the shortest player of all times.
Yeah.
Eddie Gaedel.
Eddie Gaedel.
So I'm not including him in the shortest
Okay.
because it was a one day. But I
It's
want to
kind
talk
of an outlier,
Oh,
yeah.
And but I'm going to go with the shortest regular players because, and I said players because there's 4 tied for second place behind
Wow.
Eddie Gaedel. Bob Emmerich was 5'3", and he played in 13 games for the Boston Braves in 1923. He was a center fielder and a pinch runner, but only batted .083 in 24 at bats.
Man, how do you jump at the wall for fly balls?
Yeah, he's center fielder.
5'3"? Yeah, that's a weird.
Then you have Mike McCormick, not to be confused with pro football player Michael McCormick,
Okay, how
because he's only 5'3". He was a third baseman, and he played 1 season with the Brooklyn Super Boss in 1904. Super Boss.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
He batted 184 and 347 at bats. You have Jess Cortazzo standing at 5'3" as well, born in 1904 and passed away in 1963. He was also known as Shine, and he was a shortstop for 1 season in 1923 with the Chicago White Sox.
That was his rap name, Shine.
Shine. Yeah, that would be a good Lil Shine.
There's
He was
the
right there.
Shine.
He appeared in 1 game and was retired in his only at bat.
Whoops.
So just like Eddie Gaedel, 1 at bat.
Yeah, really.
And then there was Stubby Magner.
Well, that's
Yeah,
that
5'3".
fits.
Yeah.
Also his rap name.
He played for the New York Highlanders in 1911. In 13 games, he had 7 hits in 33 at bats. He was a right-hander, and in 1915, he coached the University of Buffalo baseball team. He was born in Kalamazoo, Michigan, died in Chillicothe, Ohio, graduated from Cornell University in 1911, and was a member of the Quill and Dagger Society, served as a lieutenant in the U.S. Naval Reserve during World War I. So this guy lived a life.
Talk about Napoleon complex.
Right? And there were our final one is Pompeo Antonio Davio Romero, born in 1931.
Also his rap name.
Was
I couldn't
that
resist,
joke
sorry.
is yeah.
The rule of threes.
Venezuelan professional baseball player and a minor league manager. Played in in the major leagues as a shortstop for the Washington Senators and earned the nickname Yo-Yo by his teammates. 5'3", 140 pounds, batted and threw right-handed. He is listed in Major League records as having been born in Cabamas, Venezuela. So probably one of the earliest.
I thought you were going to say Cabbage Patch for a second.
Cabbage Patch, Venezuela. Good defensive player. He was drafted by the Yankees in
That's
1953 and later transferred to the Senators. At the age of 25, he made his Major League debut, becoming only the 4th Venezuelan to play in Major League Baseball. A promising future, but his aversion to airplane travel combined with severe injury curtailed his career in the major leagues.
You should have just rode with Wade Boggs. That
Mwah.
would've-
Hey, he had the magic elixir too.
I know.
Huh?
Call back.
In a 19-game major league career, he had 19 hits over 58 at bats for a .293 career batting average with 2 runs batted in, 1 stolen base.
Not bad.
Scored 10 runs.
And he was a coach?
He was a coach. He went on after his career to become a coach for the Venezuelan League.
Oh, it would have been so fun to see him get in fights with the umpire. Especially if the umpire was like 6 feet.
Craning his neck to get into
He'd
his,
have to bring a little chair with him to stand
get in
on.
his face. He was inducted into the Venezuelan Baseball Hall of Fame in 2006.
Of course he was.
Now let's go to the other extreme, the tallest player.
All right.
John Roush, 6'11".
Okay. Pitcher, let me guess.
Yep,
Yeah.
pitcher, 1970, born in 1978. He attended and graduated from the Oldham County High School, grew up in Kentucky. He played college baseball at Morehead University, where he majored in physics and business.
Wow.
He was also a member of the social fraternity Sigma Phi Epsilon, Kentucky Zeta chapter.
Kentucky frat boys.
Yes.
Moonshine and
Came in
Wheaties.
weighing, so he's 6'11", weighed 290 pounds. He's
Jeez.
a giant of a human being.
Yeah.
Was drafted in the third round of the 1999 amateur draft by the Chicago White Sox and debuted with the White Sox on April 2nd, 2002. His first stint in the big majors resulted in a 6.59 ERA in 8
Whoops.
games and 6 starts. Did not play in the majors in 2003, then returned in 2004 after a strong AAA campaign. However, he posted an ERA of 6.23. Eventually, in 2004, he was traded to the Montreal Expos, and he hit his first home run with the Expos in 2004 against the Houston Astros off of Roger Clemens.
The strike zone on that guy must have been the size of a barn,
No
too.
kidding.
Like,
Against Roger Clemens. That's the impressive part.
yeah, for sure.
I hate that pitcher-on-pitcher violence, though. He went on to the minors again due to bad performance, and was eventually called back up to finish the 2005 season, going 2-4 with a 3.60 ERA. He really didn't have on too much. Let's see here. Where do we go? Oh, yeah. In 2006, he posted his best season of 4-5 with a 3.35 ERA after appearing in 85 games, second in the majors. Went in 2007 to lead the majors in appearances with an 88, finished year with an 8-4 record, 4 saves, and a 3.61 ERA. And his 8 victories led the team in wins.
Oh, wow. Team savior.
Ouch. As a reliever. The starters
The reliever
led the
oh,
league,
man,
or led the team in wins.
That's rough.
2008, he signed a 2-year contract with the Nationals worth a total of $3.2 million.
Well, that's just, I mean, that's
That's
guy's,
low to it
that's
nowadays.
his vegetable budget.
Yeah.
The guy's giant.
2008 was traded the Diamondbacks for second baseman Emilio Bonifacio.
Heard of that guy?
In 2009, he was traded to the Twins for Kevin Mulvey. Appeared in 17 games for the Twins before ending the season, posting a 5-1 record with a 1.72 ERA. 2010, manager Ron Gardenhire named Roush as the team closer, replacing the injured Joe Nathan. Roush earned his first save as a Twin with a perfect 9th inning with 2 strikeouts against the Angels and a 5-3 win. He served as the team's closer through August when the Twins acquired Mike Capps. During his time as a closer, he was saved 21 of 25, so not too bad. Then he signed with the Blue Jays in 2011, and 2011, and then subsequently broke the jaw of Blue Jays manager John Farrell during a scuffle while Farrell was trying to get Roush away from the umpire. So he was jawing with the umpire.
Whoops.
Roush gets in the middle, gets his jaw broken, which was probably me sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Me hurt you.
I don't know my own strength.
Yeah, exactly. After pitching in a game against the Seattle Mariners in 2011, Roush was taken to a Seattle hospital for an emergency appendectomy. 2011, he signed a 1-year contract with the Mets. Then he signed with the Marlins, the Orioles, Kansas City. Never really regained his career after his appendectomy. He's now out of baseball.
Well, everybody knows your appendix is where your baseball skills are stored.
Is that what the mustard comes from?
Yeah. Once you get rid of that, it's all down.
No more mustard.
Yeah.
Well, you want to know the biggest player It wasn't Roush. Even at 6'11", 290 pounds, not the biggest player to ever play Major League
Okay.
Baseball. Biggest was Walter Young Jr. He played part of one season for the Orioles in 2005 as a first baseman and designated hitter.
Of course.
He was 6'5", 322
Wow.
pounds.
No, what's Fielder at?
I think he's listed at like 280,
Wow.
which I'm not even.
But he's 5'1", so it's
Yeah. Right. 6'5", 322, giving a body mass index of 38.2, and 30
Okay.
is considered obese.
Okay.
So even Kung Fu Panda doesn't. Well, after seeing him start in spring training, maybe. But as of April 2015, his weight was the highest ever recorded by an active Major League player.
Wow.
He was born in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, an accomplished high school football player at Purvis High School. He turned down a scholarship from LSU and decided to play baseball instead for the Pittsburgh Pirates. He advanced steadily through the system, but before the 2004 season, the Pirates released him, claimed on waivers by the Orioles and assigned to their Double-A team. Young recovered from a slow start to set a club record with 33 home runs.
Wow.
And appeared in the Eastern League All-Star Game that year. Participated in Orioles spring training the following year and was called up on September 1st, 2005 after batting 286 with 13 home runs in Ottawa. Since 2005 was the last year he could be optioned to the minors without having to pass through waivers, the Orioles set upon promoting him that they would use him in September to see if he fit their plans for the next year. So after playing 15 games in 2005, finished with a .303 batting average, 1 home run, and 3 RBIs.
Wow. How many stolen bases?
0. How many eaten bases? 6.
Okay.
In the offseason, he played in the Venezuelan Winter League, and in 2006, he was designated for assignment and was then claimed off waivers by the Padres, but faced too much competition at first base because Ryan Klesko, even despite Ryan Klesko being on the disabled list that year, Young did not win a spot at the Major League roster and was sent to the AAA affiliate Portland Beavers.
No, I miss the Portland Beavers.
Everybody misses the Beavers. Where he shared a first base job, and he started in a slump though. Hit his second home run and third home run on April 23, 2006. 2 days later, he was released. Then he was signed by the Astros and released, and then he went on to Winnipeg, where he batted .313 with 21 home runs, 78 RBIs.
So it sounds like he's the quintessential like quadruple A player. Who could just
Which is great because he ate quadruple cheeseburgers.
Yeah. Who can shred in AAA and can't do anything in the major leagues.
That's the thing. It's like that next step up is just still so big. In 2009, he re-signed with Sioux City, and then he just kind of floundered in the minor leagues, eventually landing in semi-pro baseball.
Floundering is the word for him. He thundered in the
yeah. It was allowed. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was released in August and then ended up playing semi-pro ball. And then it was out of baseball by 2010. And he had plans to pursue a degree in criminal justice at LSU before signing with the Pirates. So he went back and joined the Forest County Sheriff's Department after his career ended and began working as a shift sergeant for the county jail.
Good for him.
Young died September 19th, 2015 of a heart attack at the age of 35.
Oh, my God.
How did you see that story ending?
Yeah, I know. Such a big guy, but wow. Well, what a life, you know?
Yeah. Can you guess who the youngest player to debut in Major League Baseball was?
Oh, I think I know this. I think he was 15.
He was.
Yeah.
Joe Nuxhall.
Yeah.
Was born and raised in Hamilton, Ohio during World War II. Nuxhall was born and raised in Hamilton, Ohio. During World War II, many regular baseball players were unavailable. Obviously, we've
Mhm.
covered that numerous times here.
They're spreading the joys of baseball in Europe.
Forcefully.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Knox Hall was the biggest member of the grade class, being 6'2" in ninth grade.
Wow.
He was left-hander with a hard fastball, but not much control. He'd already been playing in semi-pro with his father for a few years. But the Reds were looking to fill in some spots in a depleted roster, and they were. And let's see. They were looking to fill out the Reds' depleted roster. We're following Orville Nuxall, Joe's father. So they were actually scouting his father when they discovered his son at the age of 15.
Oh my God. How does the dad feel about that? Yikes.
No kidding. But they were informed that the older Nuxall was not interested in becoming a professional.
Okay.
Because he wanted to stay at home and raise his kids. So he wanted to stay doing semi-pro ball. So instead, they signed his son at the age of 14.
That's a spite signing.
And after waiting until the next basketball season was over, Nuxall decided to join them on February 18th, 1944. General manager Warren Giles intended to wait until school was over in June to add him to the team, but more of his players were inducted into the service in spring. So, with permission from the high school principal,
Wow.
Nuxall was in uniform with the team on opening day while in high school.
That's insane.
On his debut, quote, I was pitching against 7th, 8th, and 9th graders, 13s and 14-year-olds. All of a sudden, I look up and I'm pitching to Stan Musial. It was a very scary situation, to say the least.
Yeah.
He's playing against men.
That's rookie of the year stuff right there.
Yeah.
That's Henry Rowan Gardner going against that fat dude from the Yankees.
And still today, he remains the youngest player to play in a major league game in history.
Well, I would hope so.
Yeah.
I hope it stays that way for a while.
It would take another war.
Yeah.
Except I don't think players would be going today.
Yeah, no.
During his lifetime, it was believed that a 14-year-old named Fred Chapman pitched 5 innings in 1887.
Until he discovered girls and then
Yeah. However, in 2009, the Society for American Baseball Research discovered that this player's name and age were both incorrect.
Oh.
The actual player's name was Frank Chapman, and he was 25.
That's quite a difference.
Yeah.
11 years.
Or as we call them, Dominican Little League players.
Stop carding me. I'm 25.
No kidding. Which is the average age of the Dominican Little League player, 25.
Yeah. No, I think they're yeah.
This is my birth certificate. It's just written in crayon.
Yeah, I'm John F. Kennedy Jr.
Joe Redford, a 12-year-old bat boy for Class D Fitzgerald Pioneers, became the youngest player to ever play in a professional game. Not the majors, but he did that in 1952 when he was called on to pinch hit. Hey, bat boy, get in there, pinch hit. Nux Hall ended up spending 15 of his 16 major league seasons with Cincinnati, where he was
Wow.
a 2-time National League All-Star, led the league in shutouts in 1955, and he also played for the Kansas City Athletics, the Los Angeles Angels, before returning to the Reds.
So the guy retired at 29.
Right?
He's like,
Yeah.
I'm an old crusty vet. I'm
Meh.
done.
KG veteran at the age of 21.
Yeah, he's a 7-year veteran.
Yeah.
He would have had 10-5 rights at the age of 24.
In 65, he broke Epa Rixey's team record of 440 games pitched. His final mark stood of 484, has stood until Clay Carroll surpassed it in 1975. Retired from the Reds in 1967 under the guidance of Hamilton sports broadcaster Ray Motley immediately began his second career as a Reds broadcaster, despite his lack of broadcasting experience. Part of his trademark radio sign-off phrase, "This is the old left-hander, rounding third and heading for home," is displayed on the outside of the Reds Stadium, Great America Ballpark, which opened in 2003.
To be fair, everything that the Reds ever did is displayed on the outside of Great American Ballpark.
It fits on a postage stamp.
I'm just, yeah.
Sorry. Hey, we bag on Cincinnati all the time. His likeness is one of 4 statues that decorate the main entrance of the stadium. You were at that stadium.
Yeah.
So you probably saw it.
Yeah.
It's him,
probably.
Ernie Lombardi, Ted Kluszewski, and Frank Robinson.
Where's Pete Rose?
Yeah, well,
Pete Rose handing a slip into his bookie.
yeah, that'd be a great statue.
Yeah. Marge Schott.
With a
I would love a Marge Schott statue with Shotzi pooping
Shotzi
on
just
it.
pooping. Come on, Cincinnati, get it going. He was elected to the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame in 1968 and officially retired from broadcasting in 2004.
Wow.
60 years after his pitching debut.
Oh my God.
Though he still made guest appearances on some game broadcasts. On June 6, 2007, they honored him, Marty Brenneman, and Wade Hoyt with replica microphones that hang on the wall near the radio booth. And at Redfest in 2007, the Reds announced Nuxhall would be honored through the 2008 baseball season.
How many times do you think Vin Scully tried to go up and talk into those mics?
Still to this day.
He's so old. God love him, but
Yeah. He's going to broadcast this year.
Is he?
Yeah, I think
he's
signed
retiring after this season.
Yeah, I think he
isn't
signed another.
And he doesn't
1
do
year.
he hasn't done road games for a while.
I wouldn't think so.
Yeah.
God bless him.
Yeah.
That's a future podcast for sure.
He's squeaky clean. I mean, it's so hard to do like
I know, but it's still a
funny stuff about him.
Yeah, maybe. I'll find something.
Yeah, that's a you episode. I'm more of the
Yeah.
the silly weird stuff.
He went on to he released a book, Joe, rounding third and heading for home, with the proceeds going to the Joe Nuxhall Character Education Fund, which was established in 2003 to underwrite character development programs and projects for kids. Went on to do a lot of stuff for the community, and in 2008 opening day, players wore an alternate jersey which bore his number 41 on the back,
which was just the reciprocal number of his age when he started.
True. The amount of 60 years he was with the Reds.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Insane.
I'm sure he got a heck of a watch when he retired.
And
sent him off with a slap on the back. And,
yep, kicking the pants.
Yep.
Here's some cufflinks, old man.
See, when I went to Great American Ballpark, it was the last day of the year, and they had it was kind of cool because they had a little ceremony for the people that retired that year.
Oh, cool.
And a lot of them were had been there a long time, like their ushers that had been there for like 50 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Wow.
maintenance people that have been there forever. So
that's cool that they do that.
Neat. Yeah.
Oldest player to ever debut? Satchel Paige.
Oh,
42 years old
when he started.
Well, because of integration.
He was in the Negro Leagues for
Yeah.
so long.
I didn't want to dive. I want to give Satchel Paige more time.
Yeah.
But he was the oldest to debut, and actually was the oldest ever. Was signed for a 1-game contract at the age of 59.
Wow.
In 1965.
For the Astros?
For the Kansas City Athletics.
Oh,
Charlie O'Finley.
Because remember a couple episodes ago, he pitched in the Astrodome.
Yep.
They asked him to test the to test the conditions.
Yep. At the age of 59, they had him do that.
And he came out in full Astros uniform. So that's why I thought
no, it was not. That must not have been a game situation because he.
No, it was in February of that year.
Yeah,
so it wasn't
for the Athletics. He pitched against the Red Sox 1 game.
Wow, did he win?
I actually don't know.
Oh,
I should have looked that up, but we
Hold
will
on.
later.
Yeah, we can edit. I'll look.
Oh yeah.
People want to know. Baseball reference. Doesn't look like.
No. So no, he didn't win.
But he also had an ERA of 0.00, so pitched 3 innings and gave up 1 hit
not
with
bad.
1 strikeout. Did not get the win for the game
The age of 59.
at the age of 59. Yeah,
So there you go. Baseball extremes.
that was 12 years after his
His major league debut at the
after
17.
after he left. He played for 5 years. Okay, we'll get into that later.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean.
But
There's
yeah.
there's not enough time.
Yeah,
And Satchel Paige is one of those guys who deserves his own podcast.
for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Sweet.
Sweet. All right. Well, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, that's your
I
fault.
just brain fart.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week on the Eephus Podcast.
Eephus Podcast at Facebook.
In the meantime,
Oh, yeah. Let me
Eephus-
rush into that.
Eephus Podcast on Twitter.
Eephus Podcast at gmail.com.
And yeah, maybe I'll post some updates about the fantasy league.
Yeah.
Fun.
So far, is in first
That's
place.
what I'm trying to think. Well, no, the season hasn't even started
Oh.
yet, so we're
Oops.
all in first place. Yay!
Eh,
But people probably don't even care. So
No.
except for the
Clomp and Stomp. I think
Yeah.
he cares.
that's the best name in the world. God bless you, Clomp and Stop. All right, we'll see you next week for another episode of the Eephus Podcast.